Everybody, welcome back to the Put Me in Coach, I'm Ready to Scale podcast. I am your host, Eugene Terk. On this show, we cut through the noise to bring you practical ideas, real world experiences, and actionable insights from business coaches and growth minded leaders who are in the trenches every day. We aren't just talking about big ideas. We're talking about execution and hopefully helping you master leadership, alignment, accountability, and strategy to successfully scale your business. As a reminder, each and every episode is brought to you by Align, the strategic planning and execution software designed to keep your team focused on what matters most. From KPI dashboards to daily huddles, Align helps you create clarity and drive consistent execution. As a listener of the podcast, you can get 10% off of your new subscription. Just head over to aligntoday.com to sign up for an introductory demo and be sure to use promo code podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. And now let's jump into today's conversation. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Put Me in Coach, I'm Ready to Scale podcast. Again, I am your host, Eugene Terk, and this week we have the great pleasure of speaking with Scaling Up coach Lisa Foulger. Lisa, always pleasure to see you. How you doing?
Thank you, Eugene. Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to be here and dig in. I'm great.
Well, we are very honored that you made the time and are willing to speak to us and our audience about some of the things that you um, do in your coaching practice. For those of you and I have worked together for a number of years now, but for those who may not know you as well, tell us a little bit about your particular coaching practice and the types of clients that you find the greatest joy and benefit working with most.
Sure. So, scaling your mind is kind of my motto in the scaling up coach world. And that has cultivated over the last 9 years as a scaling up coach and bringing to bear, my 25 years of corporate experience before that and many kind of neuroscience learning pursuits that scaling your mind is kind of at the root of being anything you choose to be. And so a lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with tend to be small, medium business owners, less than 250 million annual revenue, looking to grow and scale their business so that they can grow and scale themselves as leaders and change the world in a positive way. So I call that impact coaching in some
Mhm.
terms. Yeah, I meet them in many places of the world. I'm based in Central America, Costa Rica, and I teach in the Growth Institute. So I have, the great pleasure of meeting hundreds of CEOs and founders from all over the world. And I have a big group to choose from in terms of who I work with. So it's great fun and always a journey.
And so when you typically, or when a business leader or a business owner reaches out to you or somebody that you come in contact with through teachings at Growth Institute, what do you typically see as their very first pain point? What is it that brought them to seek out coaching services or sort of lit a fuse under them to do some education through Growth Institute's programs? What is their initial pain point that they're trying to work through?
I mean, there's so many different entry points. I mean, they're often stuck, but it can be stuck because they don't have the right team surrounding themselves. It can be stuck because they can't envision what's next, what's kind of that next growth spurt they want to do. They can be stuck because they're out of cash. They can be stuck because they don't really have a differentiated strategy that sets them apart and allows them to command, an unfair share of the market and premium price. So there's a variety of different pain points. I think also a lot of entrepreneurs and founders that I meet have done it themselves, the DIY model for a period of time and just hit a ceiling, couldn't figure out how to go beyond. And so it's really tough to work on the business while you're in the business and often stuck in the business. So usually the founders and leaders that I meet and choose to work with are those that have desire and willingness, and they're ready to be guided beyond the ideas and thoughts that they individually have led with, and they're ready to engage fully their leadership team. So this isn't a solo mission.
And so it sounds like the very first thing, regardless of the pain point, because it might be cash, it might be team, it might be personal development. It sounds like the very first thing that you work on with each individual business owner is that scaling your mind element. Is that correct?
Indeed, indeed. And sometimes the CEO founder will go on that scale your mind journey on their own first to experiment and see the impact on them before they bring their leadership team. But my preference is that the leader and the leadership team go on that journey together right off the bat.
And in terms of scaling your mind, that's literally scaling the mind of all of your team members as well. So it's not only me growing individually as a business owner, a CEO, a leader, but also taking my team on that same journey with me, because that's the way we're ultimately going to achieve what we're trying to achieve.
Indeed, what we believe and what we think is what we create. So when we train our mind to scale limitless, then we can go anywhere we choose to be. And so to give that empowerment of the mind to guide the vision and the plan and the action that we're going to pursue and all get on the same page is, a huge burst of energy, focus, and alignment that takes teams in directions and at speed they'd never even imagined.
So if a business owner is willing to go on that journey, or certainly eager to go on that journey, where do you and they begin?
I mean, like many of the scaling up coaches, I usually meet founders and entrepreneurs and have them take the scaling up quick assessment. So, the very simple 4-minute assessment, I have it on my website. It's a diagnostic that shows best practices in each of the four decisions for scaling up: strategy, execution, people, and cash. And it usually is a great opening discussion to understand the constraint in the business. That's usually the catalyst for exploring a coach engagement. Very quickly, though, I do quite a bit on the people side before I start any business engagement, whether it's a CEO that's doing one-on-one coaching or whether it's truly a scaling up CEO plus leadership team coaching engagement. So I get to understand what's holding them back personally, professionally, and mindset wise. And because of that, then I take them on the journey and help them weave that in to the business and the leadership journey as well. So, for example, often with new clients, they will do vivid vision with me. And that will take them out of today and project them into a scenario. I usually do 5 years now because people can't imagine what will happen to them in 5 years. It used to be 10 or 15 years longer term, but today, with the rapid pace of change, 5 years is enough. And I say, imagine that you're looking out the window and you're, filming your life. Who's in it? What are you doing? How are you feeling? Who are you being? What's the path to becoming that? And it's usually a very strong force to propel them into envisioning and dreaming what they truly want. And then we work backwards. Okay, from here, where we're starting from, what's the path we want to navigate to get there? Of course, scaling their business is always an element of it, but what's usually more surprising to the leaders that I work with is they have a huge gap to navigate in their personal life as well. And so doing that hand in hand is a super powerful journey to navigate together.
I mean, it sounds like it certainly takes a great bit of vulnerability from the
Mhm.
business owner to paint that picture. And I just want to be clear for our audience, what is the difference between a vivid vision and, say, a strategic plan for the business for the next 5 years?
Well, the strategic plan for the business is a component of the vivid vision. The vivid vision's broader, it's bigger, it's more encompassing of you as a person and who you want to become, the people in your life, the legacy you want to create, who you want to impact, what's the experiences you want to enjoy. So business is a very important component. I mean, all the founders and entrepreneurs that we work with in the Scaling Up community are ambitious, super bright, super talented, whatever seed got them started, they're on super drive. And there's usually more to the picture than what they've initially focused on. And we as humans are very focused on what's next, what's next, what's next, right? And achievement and the next milestone and the next milestone. It's very easy to get on that hamster wheel
Hmm.
of, next business goal, next business goal, next business goal. It's harder for us to truly contemplate where we as human beings want to evolve to, the impact want to have on other people, whether it's our family, our community, our cause. And so to bring that early into the journey is a super powerful piece in scaling, I have found.
And just for our audience, so the vivid vision actually comes from a book
Mhm.
that's out there that was
Yep,
written by a gentleman named Cameron Herold. And
indeed.
so when you go through this vivid vision exercise, is this something that you do with the business leader or the business owner and the leadership team members? Or does it really just first start with the business owner to sort of paint that big picture?
Yeah, I generally start with the business founder or leader, entrepreneur. I have done forum groups, for example. I just hosted an EO forum group here in Costa Rica where all four of them did their vivid vision, five of them. And then, started that about a month before we met in person, and then, shared that live with each other. And there were tears, there were cheers, there were, just really profoundly, deeply touched and motivated, super inspired and invigorated to create the world that they wanted to fulfill and enjoy. And start that process today, not wait.
And so the way you describe it sounds like an incredibly powerful exercise for the
Mhm.
business owner to go through. Um, what does that process look like? Is it just literally sitting down and writing out what you sort of see 5 years down the horizon? And how detailed does that work get?
Yeah, it really is layered, I would say. To start with, there's a set of like 17 questions that Cameron has in his book. So
Okay.
anybody could pick up the book and start that process on their own. It usually people start it and say, let me spend 1 or 2 hours and I'll just kind of sequester myself and collect all my thoughts. Usually it's a meandering process. So it's kind of, you get started and then there's more, and then there's more, and then there's more. I recommended, that's why I did it with a month's time in advance to give the opportunity to revisit it a few times. So in the process that we led, each founder kind of wrote their story. They did it in different ways. One kind of created a movie where they were the lead character. Another one just told it from the first person perspective. And then they reviewed it with me, and then I asked them questions and expanded and allowed them to see beyond where they'd gotten to. And then they did two or three other versions before we got together live and shared it amongst each other. And then we broke it down. What are we going to do in the next, 1 year, in the next 90 days, paving the path towards realizing that? And how does that influence how you're running the business and the aspects that influence your strategic business plan as well? Because we covered that also. So vivid vision isn't done kind of in a vacuum, but it tends, excuse me, it tends to be a catalyst that kind of changes your mindset and your frame for how you do everything else. So that's one example. Another scale your mind journey that I take leaders on is using positive intelligence. This is a technical app and a 7-week journey that was created by Shirzad Jameen from Stanford. And it's a science-based program all around training your mind to intercept the negative thinking patterns that we tend to have when we are triggered, basically, and to substitute those triggering moments into more contemplative moments where we can expand possibilities. Basically, stop reacting and give ourselves the pause and the ability to navigate whatever comes at us with ease and calm. So it's not just a one-time process. It's a strengthening of the mental muscle, just like you would go to a physical gym and strengthen your physical muscles. So the 7 weeks is an accompanied journey as well. And so I guide leaders and leadership teams to take that on as well.
Awesome. If I could just go back to the vivid vision exercise, because I just want to be sure that we sort of close the loop on that. So once you create that, is that something that then you share with your leadership team? Or how does the business owner sort of then, you know, make others aware of what they
Mhm.
see either personally, professionally, for the organization? Is this something that then gets sort of distributed to others and we start to work together, let's say on that strategic business plan, because we were trying to figure out how to move the business forward. What's the next step after you've actually created the division?
Yeah, it's a great plan. The next step after you've shared it and really embodied it is to figure out how do you bring it alive. Usually, what I've seen with leaders is they segment it. So, yes, there's a business element and a component of that that they would share with their leadership team. And it fits into their core purpose and their BHAG and all the good things that we talk about in scaling up around strategic thinking. So, yes, they invite their leadership team into that aspect of it. They don't necessarily share all the personal or community or cause or passions or, some of the bucket list things that they really want to do or experience or contribute with the leadership team. Some do. Some are more open, some are more vulnerable, some, invite their leadership team to go on the same journey.
Hmm.
But I've also seen like one of the leaders that was in the forum, went home and shared it with his wife, and they came up with a vivid vision together. And and they started a cause that they were both super passionate about. And I just saw him 3 months after, and it was great to hear all the steps they had taken towards bringing that alive. And there was just a new level of profound connection and passion and exploration that they were discovering because they were going after something that they both cared about deeply.
So if a business owner was listening to this podcast today and only took one action towards creating that vision or creating alignment around that vision, what would you encourage them to do first?
It's really carve the time out to work on the life you want to create. So we in Scaling Up talk a lot about take time out, carve out time to work on the business you want to create. I encourage them to take a step back before that and create the life you want to create. And that life has a key component in business, of course, if we're talking about the CEOs and founders of the organizations we're working with. Yet that's only one component. And this comes to play. I'm working with a lot of founders that are going through exit in the next 3 to 5 years. And when they prepare for exit, it's so important for them to think about the life they want to move towards, not just the business they're going to leave or pass on or transition. So when you're excited towards something, the energy, the momentum, the ambition is unparalleled. So any business leader that hasn't had the opportunity yet to work on dreaming and envisioning the life they want to create, yeah, pick up Cameron's book and get started. Nothing's holding
Yeah,
you back.
I know that we could have a whole nother podcast or maybe multiple about that personal readiness element of exit planning.
Mhm.
So much of so much of an individual business owner's identity oftentimes is so connected to the business, and that when that business gets sold, sort of what defines that individual when they are no longer the CEO of that business and all of a sudden find themselves sort of with a lot more free time than they've ever had. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. For
Indeed.
those of you who want to learn more about Lisa, about her practice, wait, I have a question. We forgot to ask the three most important questions that we finish each
Yes.
podcast session with. So we like to end with some lighthearted questions. Lisa, what is a book that you are currently recommending to all of the business clients that you're working with these days?
I am reading one of our fellow Scaling Up coach colleague book, Bruce Eckfield, Springboard. It's a great book on exit and how to prepare yourself. And there's a great portion of it that aligns with what we talked about today. Bruce and I are very like-minded in that you need to personally prepare as well as professionally prepare for a successful exit. So yeah, love it.
Okay, fantastic. What is your favorite place in the world to visit?
I'm a vivid, avid traveler. I'm on my way to Rwanda next month to spend some time with the gorillas. That will probably be my next favorite place. I have many, many, many favorite places. One of my recent ones is Morocco. I loved spending some time with a nomadic family in the middle of the desert.
Oh, wow. Sounds incredible. And then finally, my favorite question, if you could name one musical artist or band, dead or alive, that you've never seen live in concert but wish you could.
Oh, it's very interesting. Huh.
Sorry, I'm a music junkie. I find this question
Yeah, no, that's great.
fascinating.
I would have to say the Grateful Dead only because I went to an event with a client of mine who's a raving fan, and to hear her stories of the 14 concerts that she's been to, a Deadhead, I mean, it was just transformative. So I'm like, maybe I need to experience that.
I
Yeah.
encourage you. I saw the Grateful Dead in 1994 was the last time in Memphis, Tennessee. It was amazing. It was wonderful. I wish everyone had the experience of doing that. So, if nothing
Ah,
else, go out and see all the live music you can and support musicians and artists. Lisa, thank you so very much for your time. For those who want to learn more about Lisa, you can check her out at her website at Lisa Folger, Foulger.com. We thank you so very much for your time, your wisdom, your expertise, and we wish you the best in continuing to help shape business owners who can provide greater impact through their organizations and then through their personal actions.
thank you, Eugene.
My pleasure, Lisa. Have a wonderful day. Be well.
You too. Take care.